An update to the issue that we have been following coming out of Venezuela. A day or two ago, the ELN let loose and started hitting locations in Colombia. 3 locations on a pipeline and 3 others that have not been widely detailed. They are coming out now and saying that those 4 attacks were actually 6 attacks, and there have been 3 total soldiers killed so far. I am sure the news out of this region is going to be very, very difficult now and be very controlled because of the security issues as regards the Panama Canal. That's not being reported. I am sure that the U.S. government has seen this coming for a very long time and do not want to start a panic in Panama or in Costa Rica. Now, yesterday, just as I was putting up the video, it came out, it broke the issue with John Feely, the ambassador of Panama. And before anybody decides they want to come point fingers, I never once made any allegation that the comments from the administrator had anything to do with the man's resignation. In fact, quite the opposite. He probably is in the best position to know what's coming for Panama, and I'm sure he wanted his family out of harm's way. And he took the first opportunity he could back in December to draft the resignation and then released it. Now, if the reasons that he wants to put out, it says that he can't serve the Trump administration, okay, that's an easy one. That's an easy one that no one's going to question. But it was never the allegation that the comments, the alleged comments from the administrator had anything to do with it. So that was something that the mainstream media put out, and we don't follow them here. Real quick about the man, just to give you guys an idea of who this guy really is. He's no coward, folks. Eagle Scout, bachelor's from Georgetown, 8 years in the Marines as an amphibious assault helicopter pilot over Lebanon under Reagan. He was there during the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut as a Marine. He's flown off Navy ships. He got a master's from the National War College in 2004. Managed information flow for Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice. And has served in a very, very dangerous area for most of his life. Doing a very dangerous job for the Marines as well. This guy's no coward. This guy's no limp-wristed liberal. But probably the only thing you're going to remember about him, Trump NZ speaking of, not the rest of you, but we have seen a giant resurgence of the Trump NZ troll, so I've had to delete a lot of comments. I do apologize, simply because of the response to them. He stood up for Wally Brewster, a guy that was in a same-sex marriage that was up to be the ambassador to the Dominican Republic. So, that's the guy who had the guts to stand up for what he believed in, whether you agree with it or not. And I think we lost a good one here. We really did. But he probably knows as much about this issue and is probably just as sworn to silence about it as I am. Now, there's been this issue down there talking about what's coming with Venezuela because of the hunger and because of the corruption and all that. And none of what's being reported would make sense with the fact that Maduro is in the Dominican at the negotiations table with the opposition. What, if he was who you think he is, if he was that, why would he be bothering to negotiate in another country for anything? The people that support him, they had an election. You can call it a farce or whatever, but there were 19 governorships, and the people supporting him won 15 of those. So, and I mean, you can say he rigged the whole thing. Okay, maybe. You could say his constituent assembly. But if he has that level of control, why would he bother negotiating? And here, I think this is the U.S. government telegraphing, saying that it doesn't matter what he does now. We've already made up our mind about what our reaction to this is going to be. Now, part of this fake news that has come out of Venezuela, and before anybody takes issue with that, are there people starving? Yes. Is there looting? Yes. There are people starving in the United States. There are people that do looting in the United States. Every time there's a little power outage or some little issue, we see that here. I mean, we see them carrying off TVs and stereos and tennis shoes. We don't see them carrying off sides of beef and that type of thing. But I just wanted to show you something. Now, there was this. 1 second. Let me pull up this article here. Now, Maduro says he's arrested a group that sought to generate violence in Caracas. And when you read this, and this is the Diario de Cuba, there are groups of people down there that are fomenting violence, and they do it in front of a camera. What nobody is bothering to ask is, why is every time you see these videos that they are so well done? That they are so beginning to end, you get the detail of everything. That doesn't happen in a riot. And they have all the best angles and, and they have editing, and they sometimes have music to them. It's because there is an organized resistance that makes you want to believe that the problem that's going on down there is much bigger than what it is. And we've covered this in other articles where they say that all of this violence seems to be not happening in Caracas. And like I said, I don't agree with Abby Martin, but the girl from Telesur, but she did a video on this where she actually went to Caracas and she walked around and she walked through grocery stores that were perfectly full, and there was no violence, and people were buying things, and it was fine. And she said there's shortages of certain things, like in the paper products aisle, you can buy Kleenexes and paper towels, but you can't buy toilet paper, because for some reason there's some issue with that particular version of paper products, but you can buy others. So it's something very strange is happening down there, and I'm going to go back to this this video real quick. Let me close this window out. All right. Now, I'm not going to show the video here, but this is the part of the video that shows where the starving mob beat a cow to death. And the first thing you notice when you watch the video is that the video guy is ready to go before any of the starving mob attacks the cow. Okay, so clearly it was a planned event. They had the camera set up and ready to go. Okay, and it reminds me a little bit of, and I don't mean to get off on a tangent here, but the first season of The Walking Dead, I stopped watching because they had this issue where the main character, Rick, was in Atlanta, and it was, apocalyptic, and he was on horseback, and the mob of zombies attacks this horse and brings it off its feet and begins disemboweling it with their bare hands and teeth. Kids, anybody who's ever been around a real horse, anybody who's ever been on a farm knows I don't care if you had the entire offensive line for any NFL pro team. They're not pulling a horse off of its feet, and they're not disemboweling it with their bare hands and teeth. That thing will do 2 jumps and 3 kicks and knock everybody on their ass and run off. Cows are much the same way. Okay, ain't gonna happen. These things just swing their head, and they will knock you ass over apple carts. Okay, and they kick. This thing has clearly been drugged. And this was clearly a planned event that they wanted to make you believe something. And the reason I brought up this particular screenshot of it is, look at this guy right here. Does this guy look like he's starving? Love handles? Really? Is this a starving man here? And look at this guy. Apparently starving, and he's got what looks to be 125-pound, maybe 200-pound chunk of meat just slung over his shoulder, not straining at all. Trust me, kids, you go without food for 3 days, 4 days, or 5 days or a week, you're not carrying this big piece of meat over your shoulder. I guarantee you're not. It would have taken 2 or 3 guys to do this. He wouldn't be carrying it this easy if he hadn't eaten for 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, or if he was starving. At starving mobs, you're not going to, with rocks and sticks, go out and corner a cow and kill it. It ain't gonna happen, guys. Just try it yourself. Try to go 3 or 4 days. Don't eat anything. Just drink water so you don't. And see how much of your strength you lose. How easy it is to get winded. and then go amble off into a field where there's a cow who has been eating and drinking that weighs 1,500 pounds, and you'll get the grasp and the depth and the breadth of how stupid this is. This is their version of crisis actors. So anyway, 10 minutes. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. We'll see you next time. Thank you.